Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. This is Black History Month, and the month is almost gone, and I've been going back and forth on who I should pay tribute to. And I finally made a decision that I would like to honor Mahalia Jackson. She was a singer, civil rights activist, television personality. She was born October 26, 1911, and died January 27, 1972. She was born in New Orleans, Louisiana. Mahalia Jackson was the 20th century recording artist known as the Queen of Gospel, and she's reverenced as one of the greatest musical figures in U.S. history. Mahalia Jackson started singing as a child at Mahalia Baptist Church and went on to be one of the most revered gospel figures in the U.S. Her recording of Move On Up a Little Higher was a major hit, and she subsequently became an international figure for music lovers from a variety of backgrounds. She worked with artists like Duke Ellington and Thomas A. Dorsey, and also sang at the 1963 March on Washington at the request of Dr. Martin Luther King. Born Mahalia Jackson on October 26, 1911 in New Orleans, Louisiana, to Charity Clark and Johnny Jackson. She became one of gospel music's all-time greats, known for her rich, powerful voice that captivated a global following. The young Mahalia grew up in a Pitt Street shack and started singing at 4 years old in the Mount Moriah Baptist Church, where she started to sing professionally. She added an I to her first name, making it Mahalia. She was brought up in a devout Christian family. Jackson still found herself influenced by the secular sounds of blues artists like Bessie Smith and Ma Rainey. Jackson's sanctified style of performance would also rely upon freer movement and rhythm than contracted to the style seen in more conservative congregations. After moving to Chicago as a teen with the aim of studying nursing, Mahalia Jackson joined the Greater Salem Baptist Church and soon became a member of the Johnson Gospel Singers. She performed with the group for a number of years. Jackson then started working with Thomas A. Dorsey, a gospel composer. The two performed around the U.S., further cultivating an audience for Jackson. She also took on a number of jobs, working as a laundress, beautician, and flower shop owner, for example. Before her musical career went into the stratosphere, she wed Isaac Hockenhull in 1936, with the two later divorcing. When she made some recordings in the 1930s, Mahalia Jackson tasted major success with Move On Up a Little Higher in 1947, which sold millions of copies and became the highest-selling gospel single in history. She became more in demand, making radio and television appearances and going on tour, eventually performing in Carnegie Hall on October 4, 1950, to a racially integrated audience. Jackson also had a successful 1952 tour abroad in Europe, and she was especially popular in France and Norway. She had her own gospel program on the CBS television network in 1954 and scored a pop hit with Rusty Old Halo. In 1956, Jackson made her debut on The Ed Sullivan Show, and in 1958 appeared at the Newport Jazz Festival in Rhode Island, performing with Duke Ellington and his band. Ellington and Jackson worked together on an album released the same year under Columbia Records titled Black, Brown, and Beige. Future Columbia recordings from Jackson included The Power and the Glory, that was in 1960, Silent Night, Songs for Christmas, that was in 1962, and Mahalia, that was 1965. In 1959, Jackson appeared in the film Imitation of Life. By the end of the decade, much of Jackson's work featured crossover production styles. She was an international figure, with a performance itinerary that included singing at President John F. Kennedy's inauguration. Jackson was also an active supporter of the civil rights movement. She sang at the March on Washington at the request of her friend, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In 1963, performing I've Been Buked and I've Been Scorned in 1966. She published her autobiography, Moving On Up, after King's death in 1968. Jackson sang at his funeral and then largely withdrew from public political activities. In her later years, Mahalia Jackson had several hospitalizations for severe health problems, giving her final concert in 1971 in Munich, Germany. She died of a heart attack on January 27, 1972. Jackson is remembered and loved for her impassioned delivery, her deep commitment to spirituality, and her lasting inspiration to listeners of all faiths. Like I said, some of you may not remember her. I remember that my mom would play her records, and it's a good thing when you're in a certain generation and you bring your music and what you remember to your children. I've done that. I've exposed my children and my grandchildren to what I grew up with, Temptations and the Miracles, old school things. So I like that my mom introduced me to Mahalia Jackson. Now, I know that there was other artists that she liked, but Mahalia Jackson just always stood out. I really don't remember too many people that she liked. We're going way back. But my mom did introduce me to her. Now, when her mom passed, when my grandmother passed, it was something about Mahalia Jackson that brought the emotions out of you. So we did not play that music. I don't remember even hearing that music. My mom playing that again when her mom died. It invoked a lot of feelings and a lot of memories, which tells me that her mom was a fan of Mahalia. So listening to Mahalia was not easy for my mom. So if she played it, I don't remember. I do have one memory as far as at that time I was getting ready to play one of Mahalia's songs because I thought that my mother would feel better. It would help her feel better and help her cope with what was going on. But my dad said, don't play that. Get rid of that. So I didn't play it. So that's a memory that I have because listening to Mahalia brought your emotions out. And unfortunately, I do remember it as being hearing her songs, playing her records. Yes, records back then, not CDs, records. I associated it with sadness, unfortunately. And then when I saw Imitation of Life, and those of you who have not seen that picture, I think Lana Turner, I can't remember anyone else that was in it, but you guys know the story where uh, entertainer. She was a singer or actress or something. They started out with meager income, and the black lady came and worked with her, um, took care of her child while she went out and worked, and to the course of events, she was successful in uh, getting rich and getting famous, being an actress. And the maid, uh, the maid had a daughter that was very, very fair skinned, and actually she passed for white. And so it's just a story of coming out of that. And I won't tell the story because I really do encourage you guys to Google that and watch the movie. It's very good. Now there's two interpretations of the movies. There's two movies out with that, but the one that I remember was with Lana Turner, and so Mahalia Jackson sang in that movie, and it was so touching and so moving that if you were going through something very difficult and traumatic, it's not a middle ground. Either it's going to take you to a high where it lifts you up and make you feel better, or either it's going to, okay, I got to cut this off because of the memories it will invoke, of your loved one. That's how strong Mahalia Jackson, that's how much emotion she had in her songs. Either it will lift you up, or it's a Debbie Downer. So, but I remember Mahalia Jackson's music, and I just wanted to pay homage to her and give you a short biography of her lifetime. And, Martin Luther King was her friend. She sang with Duke Ellington, and like the article says, she sang at Martin Luther King's funeral. So maybe you can Google that and listen to that. But anyway, I will leave the link in the description box so you can read the article on yourself, and about the article, on your own time. And I don't remember whether it had a video or one of her songs in that link. But I do encourage you to Google it, because you'll be able to, I'm sorry, I had something in my throat. You will be able to listen to her music, and you will agree with me that either it'll lift you up, or it'll be a Debbie Downer. But anyway, her voice is just so unique and beautiful, and I'm just glad that my mom introduced me to what her and her mom listened to, the gospel music, which I love gospel music. Nowadays, some of the artists, you don't know whether it's gospel or what it is, and it's borderline something. I can't tell you what it is, but it's far from what Mahalia Jackson sings. I will guarantee that it's far from what Mahalia sings. So if you like good old down home, old school gospel, I'm talking about old school, then you will love Mahalia Jackson. So I'm going to leave you with that right now. I just wanted to give you a history of Mahalia Jackson, and I'm glad that I picked her to honor this Black history, because there's not been anyone like her. I love artists like BB and CeCe Winans. I love gospel, but there's no one like Mahalia Jackson. So that's it for now. You have a great evening. It's late right now, And so I will see you next time in the incoming videos. And if you have not subscribed, please do so now and click that notification bell for further videos. Thank you for joining me and have a good night.